Hey everybody, I'm Gary Palmer Jr., you're you. Together, welcome to Minting Coins. So, hello, thank you for showing up. I'm really glad that you're here. I'm really glad that I'm here. I'm really excited about the Minting Coins show. I'm really excited about Bitcoin and blockchain in general, and I'm just in a really good mood today. I've been having these meetups in Rochester, my hometown, through meetup.com. I'm running a meetup group called Bitcoin NYS, and it's just really awesome getting together with people with different levels of understanding around Bitcoin and blockchain technology, and just sharing information and just having the energy of collaboration and the excitement of exploring this new technology together. And I take that energy and I bring it back to the studio here, and I am just really excited to share information with everyone out there who's actively looking for it. I was thinking about my mission and my vision and what I'm looking to do with this channel and minting coins, and I really want to just educate and inspire people around blockchain technology, around Bitcoin, around the possibilities of finally having a peer-to-peer version of trust and a decentralized system of accountability, and what that means in terms of the revolution of the world. Especially when we compare it to the internet and, the early internet, and how the early internet, sort of just took over and just radically changed things. And, once it took hold, it just blew up, right? And, I think back about Friendster and MySpace and just the huge shift to where we are today with, websites like Amazon and Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram. It's just amazing to think what's in store and what's coming down the pipeline for everybody in this world. And so my vision for what it is I'd like to see and what it is that I'd like to accomplish is just really a vision where everyone in the world has Bitcoin, where everyone in the world has a Bitcoin wallet, holds Bitcoin, and also other major cryptocurrencies, where they can be a part of this new system, this new revolution of technology. So with that, I just bring that excitement and I bring that energy here with you, and I'm really excited about all the information that we're going to get into. I'm really excited about putting this channel together and the videos that I've already sort of produced. I guess not sort of produced, but actually produced, and just where we're going to go from here. So really excited for any feedback that you have to share with me, and like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps. I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate your support. So with that, why don't we turn to the markets and see what information we can see in the news today. So I like to start out at coinmarketcap.com and just go over some of the basics with the information that we have here. So number one, we have Bitcoin. I see Bitcoin as the world's reserve currency. The world's, not just the reserve cryptocurrency, but really the world reserve currency. This is a borderless currency, not backed by any government. And, this back in December had a market cap under $20 billion, around $20 billion. And now we see it pushing close to $30 billion. Right behind it, we have Ethereum with 8 billion, Ripple behind that, and then Litecoin and NEM in the $1 billion club. Closely behind, following Dash, Ethereum Classic, Monero, Steam, Golem, all really interesting projects that are being worked on. I like looking at the last 24 hours with you, just showing how much money is going into these different coins, like taking a look around at that. Just popping around looking at these numbers with you, if that's okay, real quick, just seeing what we notice together. And just trend with Litecoin, when you look at the 1 hour and a 24 hour and a 7-day, is just huge. Ripple is also very strong, Ethereum strong. Yeah, and just cryptocurrencies are really going places. What is sort of crazy to me is that while the Bitcoin market cap is pushing $30 billion, the overall market cap for all cryptocurrencies is over $52 billion. That gives the Bitcoin a dominance of 54%. And if we were to pop over here and look at this, we just see how recently this has taken a nosedive over the past few months. Like over here, this was just in March, and then we have April, May, where we're dropping all the way down to 52, 53% of this dominance, which theoretically, definitely, could rebound. We saw a bloodbath in the markets today. And we go and we look at the markets this morning. This was all red, straight down. This was all red, with the exception of Bitcoin and Steam. Just a lot of money exited the altcoins and really got pumped back into Bitcoin, shooting up the Bitcoin price over $100 in the past 24 hours from at least this morning. And so, turning to Bitcoinist, I just was reading this article and I thought this was really interesting, just to go over some of this data. And this is really focusing on some of the positives, but also some of the cautions of the situation that we're in with Bitcoin. We were looking a second ago how the Bitcoin dominance is decreasing over here, but we really want to be careful because there's so much excitement and there's so much hype and there's so much hope and there's so much inspiration right now that it's really scary, because as new people are jumping into the market and we're getting really close to that $2,000 point, it could really be an ideal time for a lot of people who, speculators and traders who bought at 1,000, or maybe people who've been buying or holding can just sell. There just could be some sort of market correction where Bitcoin could fall from where it's at over 1750, back around $1,200. And so looking at this article, there's this tweet from this one person just saying $25 billion in Bitcoin become a asset class too large to ignore. Expect institutional money accelerating investment. 2 words, activate SegWit. So the whole SegWit situation, once it's clear that Bitcoin is going to have SegWit activated, it's just going to, I think, facilitate a lot more interest and a lot more excitement, and can definitely drive that price up. That's what a lot of people are seeing in the marketplace, and that's something that we can expect. Just like how we saw Litecoin jump up in price after Litecoin was both in the process of activating SegWit and then with its release on to the Coinbase exchange. So then there was this other tweet over here that Bitcoinist included that just talked about the Bitcoin money supply trending towards world reserve currency scale, having a better idea by 2020. And so this chart right here, if I zoom this up a little bit, see how big I can make this for us. So you can just see this line up here, USD M1, USD M2. Or this is USD M1 and this is USD M2. And so this is at $2 trillion USD M1, and then USD M2 is at $10 trillion. And then we see the Bitcoin supply value, which is pushing the, where are we at now, $25-30 billion mark. And with this trend that we can see in this graph, if it keeps this pace, we can expect these two lines to meet up at 2020. And what's really interesting for a lot of the people who've been following Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for, any sort of bit of time, is that 2020 is a major date. This tweet mentions 2022, but 2020 is when the next halving happens. Right now, on average, every 10 minutes, every time a miner solves a block, when the miners are out there that are running these miner equipment, and they're running the mining equipment, which is running the Bitcoin network, validating the transactions in these blocks, which make up the blockchain. And every 10 minutes, on average, one of these blocks are solved. And when a miner solves one of these blocks, then they're rewarded with 12.5 Bitcoin plus all the transactional fees. Well, in 2020, these the amount of new Bitcoin that's being created is going to go from 12.5 to 6.25. And so the new supply of Bitcoin being created and birthed into this world is going to get dramatically cut in half. And so the miners will then only receive 6.25 Bitcoin every 10 minutes on average, along with the transaction fees. And that is predicted to dramatically spike the price of Bitcoin. So 2020 is a major date. And when we look at this chart here, and we see how the value of Bitcoin and the USD money stock is on a collision course to meet each other in 2022. And there's precedent for this, because the last halving was in 2016, just a year ago. And that's when we saw the price of Bitcoin spike up from, around the upper $300 to $400, and then increasing into November and December 2016, which was just a few months ago, up into $800, $900, close to $1,000, hitting $1,000 in January 2017, to where we are now in close to the middle of May 10th. And we are a few $100s away from 2,000. It's just unbelievable. And so the article goes on just to mention more conservative reactions coming from different people. And, they're just pointing out that any downward correction could see prices dropping back down to $1,200 or even $1,000. And so it seems kind of crazy maybe, but we have to keep in mind that this is possible. That's why, when I think about what's best for me, I think that it's important to dollar cost average. I think it's important to purchase a little bit as I can afford to spare every month. But I think it's also good to have a good diversification, and with some of the major systems, some of the major altcoins that are out there, while at the same time just having a buy and hold mentality, just buying it and holding it and making it really difficult for anything to come in between you and your Bitcoin. Because, a lot of people are going to want your Bitcoin, because when 2020 hits, the value of this Bitcoin is going to be going up. It's not like the dollars in your pocket or the dollars in your bank account, where we just had our inflation in this past month in April 2017, and the inflation rate for the past 12 months was 2.4%. So while the value of our dollars has decreased 2.4%, the value of our Bitcoin has increased exponentially. And while it's important to recognize that we could absolutely see a market correction in the price of the Bitcoin, we don't want to get discouraged. We want to be cautious of, being struck with too much hype and maybe overextending how much Bitcoin we can afford to spend. It's really scary. We need to make sure we take care of our families first and pay our bills first, and take care of the debt and our obligations in our lives. But at the same time, I would recommend, consider dollar cost averaging what you can afford to spend every week, and not getting caught up with the hype and not getting caught up with the fear or the uncertainty or the doubt. The market's going to go up and the market's going to go down, and at the end of the day, Bitcoin is a deflationary currency. There's currently only about 16.3 million Bitcoins in existence, less when you think about the Bitcoins that are lost through people losing their keys and burned Bitcoin. But there's never going to be more than 21 million Bitcoins ever created. So, if everyone in the world wanted, a Bitcoin, or if and when Bitcoin becomes more, popular and has greater adoption, which is guaranteed to happen as time goes on, Bitcoin is going to become more and more expensive. At least that's how the theory prevails. And so we know that a lot of countries are accepting Bitcoin. And we know Japan recently allowed Bitcoin legally by every person in business through the entire country of Japan. And so now what we're seeing is more and more cases in Australia where Australians can purchase Bitcoin and use Bitcoin. And a major problem with Bitcoin in Australia is that, as stated in this other Bitcoinist.com article, how Australians can pay bills with Bitcoin, is that Australia is generally thought of as a Bitcoin-friendly place. However, the country does have a double tax issue where the cryptocurrency is considered barter and not money, which means that companies must pay a tax both when receiving the cryptocurrency as a payment, and so having tax on the cryptocurrency, as normal as a payment, and then also as a goods and service tax, a GST, when selling them for a fiat. And so just recently, the Australian government announced plans to solve this issue, and then agrees that the consumers shouldn't be subject to a tax twice when using the digital currencies to purchase goods or services in Australia. And so this is major news in Australia. This is businesses and consumers hearing additional information across the entire country and continent of Australia that Bitcoin is accepted, that Bitcoin is good for business, and that Bitcoin is good for people. So we're hearing that in Japan. We're seeing this, as recently as this month in Australia, making it easier for people and making it so they get taxed even less. We know Russia has been back and forth with their information about Bitcoin and their regulation, but we have some pretty recent news, May 8th here from Cointelegraph, that's just speaking, information coming out of Russia that Russia will have blockchain regulation in place by 2019. And so they were, there were earlier reports saying it could be as soon as 2018, but the Russia's Ministry of Communications announced that it's aiming to legalize the blockchain technology by 2019. So it could still roll out sooner than later. It could still, be later than 2019. I think what Russia may be signaling by giving a 2019 date is simply, indicating that they want to have their regulations in place for the citizens of Russia before this halving in 2020, before this great halving when the amount of new Bitcoin that's created every 10 minutes by the miners gets cut in half again, from the 12.5 to 6.25. And so it's 2017 right now. In just a couple years, when this halving takes place, I think everyone is expecting the value of Bitcoin to rise dramatically. Excellent. So, this video is getting kind of long. I don't want to go on and on and on with all of these news stories. There's just so much coming out in the news. There's just so much coming out all the time, everywhere, not just in the news, but also breaking news coming out of Twitter. There's a lot to follow, but I'm just so excited about it, and there's just so much detail. The technical side of me just starts to burst and bubble with this energy to learn about how these different pieces connect, and just breaking it down and breaking it apart and putting it back together. But at the same time, I have this sense to want to control this excitement, because I do want to make sure that I'm taking these pieces that are being broken down and then presenting them back to you in a way that's clear, in a way that makes sense. And I definitely don't want the technical excitement to get in the way. So with that being said, thank you for showing up. Please hit the like button if you liked this video, if it helped or inspired you, or if you like Bitcoin or blockchain or cryptocurrency. I really appreciate it. It definitely motivates me and excites me to keep me going. It helps other people find the channel, and I really appreciate your support. Also subscribe so you get notified of these additional videos. I'm interested in helping you and answering your questions. If you have specific questions, feel free to ask in the comments below. So with that being said, thank you for showing up. I look forward to seeing you again. And until then, I'm glad that we're minting coins. Thank you, and have a great day.